If everybody'd like to, you go ahead and grab your seat. We'll get ready to start our meeting. Well, I'll try my best. Okay, if I can get your attention, please. We'll stand and I'll have the pledge of allegiance. John, please. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing. Mr. Bill Volker is going to lead us in prayer.
Our dear Heavenly Father, we thank Thee for this opportunity to gather this evening. Lord, be with us as we discuss what the future will be for our party. And may our speakers speak with the influence of the Lord. Father, be with us as we travel to and from this meeting. And may we travel in the grace of your glory. Forever and ever, we say these things humbly in the name of thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen. Amen.
All right. Be seated, please. It's a pleasure to see everybody show up today, and that's a good indication of where the party's lined up in this county. We're doing pretty good. It's red. The only bad thing that's happened is I found out we did too good in the election, because now the Democratic Party is starting to try to kick up another one. They're wanting to get theirs going. But all I would say concerning them is I hope they keep doing exactly what they're doing right now. I'm not going to try to give them advice to get them straight. I want them to continue doing the way they're doing things right now, and I think we'll all be happy at the result. But as this meeting begins, we got a new treasurer, Rodney Robertson, and he's going to read the. There we go. He's going to give us a treasury report for our accounting of our finances and stuff.
But Doug, as you know, this is my first meeting here. First I've been, as Brian just said when I walked in, so you're here, you're officially sworn in as the treasurer now. So I gave you the statement. So right now our balance is $1297.84. That's all I'm doing right now as far as that. I just now got all this stuff tonight. Okay. So, any questions?
Any questions to that? Everybody okay with it? If so, I'll accept the motion to approve that report. Anybody?
Approve.
Any second?
I second.
All approve, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Now, the minutes from the previous meeting we had February the 6th. Kind of go over those briefly, and if anybody's got any objections, comments, or concerns, or what have you, we'll address those. Who's got that?
You just need to approve the minutes.
Okay, well, minutes have been approved. The bank statement, we got a guy tonight that is new in this part part of the country as far as I'm concerned. I know he came up and worked with the mayor of Tiptonville, and they done some discussion and stuff about raising taxes and everything like that. But his name is Trey Cleek. He's from the what's that title? Where you at, Trey? Right for Prosperity.
Sir.
And I'd just like to allow him to have 3 or 4 minutes to kind of introduce himself to y'all and know where what he represents.
Well, so my name's Trey Clee. I'm the West Tennessee director for my organization, Americans for Prosperity. And I promise y'all, I'm not that new to the area. Both of my parents grew up in Crystal Community right up this road, about 20 minutes before you get to Union City. My grandmother went to Sandburg School, if any of y'all remember that. I love this part of the country. I spend a lot of time here recreationally. I've been blessed to be a mediocre duck hunter. I lean on my friend Shane back there to carry the heavy lifting on that front for me. But I got into politics when I moved to Barton to go to school at UT Barton 25 years ago. At that time, some of y'all will remember there was a presidential election going on. George W. Bush was running against Tennessee's favorite son, the man who invented the internet himself, Al Gore. And I got involved, and I just never did back away. I found myself involved in different roles. I got really involved in Second Amendment advocacy. I care very much about our constitutional rights, as does Americans for Prosperity. This organization is the nation's largest grassroots organization that's center-right, and we focus on the economy. So what that means is I don't go to Nashville or Washington, D.C. to talk to elected leaders like Senator Jackson and Representative Grills about guns. I talk to them about the money. Y'all can't tell this is my message boiled down into a very succinct 3-word statement: no new taxes. Most of y'all are familiar with, or some of y'all will be familiar with, how county and city governments, municipal governments do their budgeting process, and this is where the rubber meets the road, so to speak, on the calendar as far as budgets. So across the entire state, our team is involved in the no new taxes fight. We've been fighting no new taxes in Nashville. We've been fighting them in East Tennessee, in Kingsport, and in Johnson City, and in Knox County. Today I was over in Weakley County trying to fight a tax increase over there. Just like business, government needs to work within its means. You can't make a budget that's continually in a deficit. And right now, some politicians think that our houses and our property should be used like an ATM to fund this program and that program and other. I don't agree with that one bit. If we could do away with property taxes, that would be my ultimate end goal. At the point that a person lives in their house and a man thinks of it as his castle, is it ever truly yours if you can't get away from paying taxes on it every year? So that's kind of the meaning behind my shirt. We don't need any raises or any increases in property taxes. Now, aside from my work on that, we work on education. We work on deregulating government, because as you will find throughout the rest of your, well, I don't know, I'm one of the youngest people in the room, so I'm not going to say throughout the rest of your life. Normally I'm talking more of a crowd that's a little bit more my age. But government, when they sink their claws into something like business or any other issue that they may sink their claws into, the end result is more government control, and that's not what a free nation looks like. So we're fighting for things like that. We're going to be there to help partner, bring resources to the community so that you know how to organize, so you know how to run a campaign, how to actually run the processes when you're through. That's kind of one of the things that we really work on tightly, work on, as the president says, hugely at AFP. And I just love to help anybody here. If you've got an issue, if you've got something you want to work on, if there's some kind of government regulation that's hurting your business, if there's some kind of a tax that you want to work on eliminating, give me a call. I'll be interested to help do that. And we can go to Nashville or DC together and make sure your voices are heard. The last thing I will say is that I'm a member of the executive committee of the Madison County Republican Party. And I just have to brag so much on this group because I know that it's been a struggle to have an organized Republican Party here in Lake County, and we are so happy to finally see this kind of a crowd. This is a great crowd. I honestly am blown away by how many folks showed up today, and I'm so happy to see each one of y'all here, and we're committed to helping. If y'all need any help from the Republican Party standpoint, we have a great mechanism and a great organization that we've been able to bring and help you guys. So reach out to myself or our chairman, Brad Greer, and we can help you guys do anything that you want from the Republican Party. That's all I really would say, unless I've got a question.
Any questions?
Well, like the two gentlemen we're going to hear from that are elected, being long-winded in front of people that are waiting to get to a buffet line is not a good political strategy.
Okay, one other thing we're gonna have here as far as new business, Michelle Morgan, y'all, everybody I assume knows her. Anyway, she sends out these things as part of her job to give us an opportunity if we want to have a primary. I've reviewed it, and Macy's reviewed it, and the co-chair, John Lindemoose, reviewed it, and it's for review if somebody wants to read it. But I think we're set pretty well where we're at, and I don't think the county needs to request and spend that kind of money for just a primary for Lake County. I think we're good. We're well represented. Does anybody disagree with that point of view? If you do, don't be ashamed to speak out, but I think everything's fine. If that's okay with y'all, we're just going to accept that as part of the new business and then move on with the meeting.
Need a motion? You need a motion?
Yes, I would.
I move a motion that we do not accept this, that we continue as we are, without a primary. As far as we don't want a primary, we'll do anything but add, like I said, very motion. Why do we need one?
I agree. Now here's a second. Second by Bill. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed likewise? Okay, that's great. So now before we get into this is just about to conclude our part, because we're going to try to make this as brief as we could because of the special guests we have here. Most of you, I don't think there's anybody in here really don't know these two gentlemen that we will be letting address the crowd here shortly. We're going to start feed, and we're going to give them the floor and let them have the opportunity to give us a legislative update and any questions or concerns you have. And I know that there were people, and one or two of them are not here, but I know there are people that was concerned about this drainage issue we've had over the last 2 or 3 months, which was catastrophic. But anyway, just to kind of introduce the ones that might not know the background of these guys, and start off with Mr. Senator Jackson. You know, he's let me get all this stuff straight. If I ain't mistaken, Calendar Committee, Ethics Committee, Government Operations, Welfare and Health, Senate Rules, State and Local Government Operations, Vice Chair. Is that you still the Vice Chair?
I'm the chairman now.
Oh, great. Okay. And then Rusty, of course, he represents the 77th district, and you're the 25th district, if I'm not okay. Rusty's got a lot. We got some real active representatives here. Chairman of the House Agriculture, Natural Resources, Subcommittee instrumental on advancing policies to support farmers and preserve natural heritage, supports legislative oversight on energy, forestry, natural resources, conservation, game and fish, and as well as mine and minerals, parks, public land, watersheds, soil conservation, flood and drainage, military parks, and tourism. So these guys have got a lot on them. They do a great job. They're fantastic. I've been up there and seen them in person, in action. But I think that pretty well. I just wanted y'all to know that before they get up here. So as far as I'm concerned, the business meeting, if there be no other business, we'll adjourn the meeting, and then we'll start the meal process, and then just a couple of minutes or so, everybody kind of gets situated, and we'll let Rusty and Senator Jackson address the crowd and like I said, give us legislative updates. They did a whole lot of stuff this year. They were really clogged and busy up there this year. They had a super busy agenda. But anyway, do I have any other further business that we need to discuss concerning the party? If not, we'll adjourn the party, and then I think Miss Linda and Ronnie's going to walk people through, and we'd like to see Ed and Rusty go through the line first, get them situated where they can kind of get a snack, get it under the belt. And okay, I'll come with them, but I won't argue with that.
Hey, I just got one thing to say, so I'll tell you what that, barbecue sauce is about hot, it's all hot, all real hot.
Well, all right, if you get an opportunity to go by up there at Jethro's, he got this putting place up here in Tiptonville, putting golf course thing. So help him out, help our local businesses, and I think that'll work. So I think I've concluded my part. Y'all okay? All right, meeting's adjourned.
Okay, well, y'all, I'm Rusty Grills. I'm the state rep here. I've been here since, got elected in 2019, been here since 2020. And so what Mr. Doug asked me to make sure that we had somebody from West Tennessee River Basin Authority. Mr. David Blackwood, he runs the West Tennessee River Basin Authority, which is responsible for making sure the rivers flow and the water doesn't get hung up behind, gets the trees and stuff out of the bridges and whatnot across the West Tennessee area. I don't want to take up, I'd rather him go first, because there's a lot more people that's engaged with him. So if David would just make a little bit of a presentation about what he wants to talk about, and then we'll talk about legislative stuff, because I know there's a lot of people here that really have a passion for what's going on in the Real Foot Running Bayou.
Yeah, hey, David Blackwood. I'm a civil engineer by training, director of the West Tennessee River Basin Authority. And yes, we're working on running Real Foot Bayou. That's been in process for a while. We've been working with the Corps on it. I know this spring has been a lot of rain. I think I was checking it coming up here. This is the second wettest 6 months we've had since 1895. Wow. So that's pretty impressive there. And I know, looking at running Real Foot Bayou, I think I determined the problem. There was this earthquake in 1811. I think it's the source of a lot of that. No. All right, can't blame the earthquake.
What was the other year? What was the other year?
What's that mean? 1895?
You said it's the second? Wait, it's.
Oh, the second, 1972 or 3.
Okay.
Somewhere in there. I got the chart, I can show you later. But we are in review right now with our legal folks in Nashville. We're a state of Tennessee agency. Lake County is a member. Every county in West Tennessee is a member of our agency. And we, like Rusty said, provide maintenance. We try to keep blockages out, and when we have blockages in all these channelized rivers and drainage systems, we've got the big floating traco and the airboats, and we go take things out. And we do a lot of maintenance, but running Real Foot Bayou needs a little more than just our standard run-of-the-mill maintenance. So we've been working with the Corps the past couple of years. Now we've got a contract put together that's going to go out to bid late June, early July. And it's going to be a maintenance contract that for the lower third and the upper third of running Real Foot Bayou, we're going to do a lot of tree removal of all the cottonwoods and willows and opening it up, make sure it's flowing. And then for the middle third, doing a lot heavier tree removal and a lot of sediment maintenance on that stretch through there, because any of y'all who farm down through there, you know that's where we get bottlenecks, and that's where we get drainages trying to come out, where they've got lateral drains or side drains that were probably put in the 50s and 60s. Some of that's gone, some of that's washed away. So we're going to be looking at all the drainage connections all the way up through there, that whole 20 miles, and we'll be replacing those and sizing those appropriately. And this contract will include tributary channels that come off of that. What I mean when I say tributaries, think of like Pagoda Drainage District, that side ditch that comes off through there. So we'll be able to do a lot of maintenance on those, and this is a 2-3 year contract, so it's going to be pretty intensive and a lot of good work going on there.
What's it going to cost?
It's about a $6 million contract. estimated right now. We've got about 10 to do the work. We spent probably 1.5 with the Army Corps. So yeah, that should be kicking off and going.
So I know there's a lot of farmers here. How many people actually that are in this room that actually farm or are impacted by the Reelfoot runnage? Okay. So you see this.
Well, I had heard that there was set aside money somewhere, and I don't know which agency, approximately $22 million to do a drainage, what have you, and I don't know whether they agree with that or not, but most of these growers, I see several of them nearly every day. And, you know, of course, they're kind of let down because we've got 2 excellent representatives. It sounds like we will have a third, but, you know, they've been promised this stuff, you know, and I can understand their frustrations for 25 years or so. And I've gone and looked at some of this stuff. Some of it you can see from the road. You don't have to get out in the ditch. You don't have to mow. You can see the trees and stuff. And this thing like over here at Grayfield, where some of my friends farm, that stuff right there should have been years past. Just say 20 years ago, when that river did what it did and fell out, that water shouldn't have set up there as slack water for a month and a half. You know, it should have already been dried. And now, of course, they still got wet spots that they keep planting, which I know they're dealing with, you know, with maintenance and stuff. But, you know, the frustration, you know, it's been promised and nothing ever happened. Hopefully, what you're talking about, since you're talking about already letting bids and everything, maybe this year may be the year that actually have something happen. Did you say y'all involved with the Corps of Engineers also? Or is that separate?
Yeah, we've been working with the Corps of Engineers. They're not involved on this part of it.
Yeah, okay.
So the first section of what we did was looking at different options for how we can do different things. We looked at, do we take a bypass channel, you know, to the west over to Graveyard Slough? Can we deal some water that way? It's a really, as y'all know, living in this area, really complicated spot because, you know, you got the O'Bine, you got the water that comes into Reelfoot Lake, you got the new spillways, you got how all that's managed. And the reason things slowed down in the 80s, you know, there was a lawsuit and consent decree, and it changed how all that got managed. So it kind of put us behind the 8 ball on being able to do the right thing. But I think you're right. We got this contract going to let. We've got good representation. We got a lot of people agreeing on the same thing. So
Did you attend some of those meetings with the Reeves over that flooding situation? You know, they lost prime farm ground. Steve, our postmaster down in Ridge.
Sure.
You know,
Yeah.
Steve Grisham. Got settlement and stuff built up in it. It kind of hurt him.
yes, sir, we did. We were working over there actually, and your General Assembly members got you a disaster fund that was able to help a lot of that. I needed to stop raining. You know, if y'all pass the plate on getting the rain to stop, because we've been over on Steve's farm for about 4 weeks now with the track hose buried to the cab. So,
Mr. Macy.
Hey, David, why don't you tell them how big an area is West Tennessee Basin, or how many counties and the linear miles that you got to cover?
Yeah.
I think we don't remember, we tend to forget how big your area is.
yes, sir. We cover 20 counties in West Tennessee, everything from the Tennessee River west except Shelby County. And in this flood event and this, you know, disaster money, we got to go do some cleanup. We got about 500 miles of river we got to run by the fall if we're going to be in good shape. We've got those emergency contracts left. They started this week, and one of them is in the North Fork O'Bine. He's coming through Reeves right now.
And counties and cities, and all these things you got to do with too.
Yeah, counties
You
contribute.
really got to be.
Cities have issues, and the wind and the rain mix that we've had, I've never seen more trees in, more things slid in. It's, you know, it's a rough spot. So, but we're out there working. Those guys are out working every day. So
Well, I'm sure you got satellite views of all the water probably when it was in its peak, you know, when it flooded the road and everything. But But one of the growers here, he's got some on his phone where his grandson, I think, got his plane, took a lot of pictures. If he needs something like that, he pretty well probably are educated to.
That's always good information to have because that stuff moves. So if they've got a certain set of days, that's a good idea.
Pictures and they're very clear and vivid. It's hard to believe unless you actually see it like that on how much stuff is actually in that ditch. What it's causing this big lake out in the middle of the field on kind of that ditch. It's got a dam out there built in. A native, Willis and Cottonwood. But anyway, Mr. Rainey's got that. Something happened and you needed something like that or isolated spot that you want to pick out. He's got several pictures.
So you're gonna have the letting in June, July. When will the bids be opened?
Whenever the letting is, it's about. I mean, they open it and then you got a 2-week period of like open file review and then you got to write a contract. So it's about a 2.5 month process.
When do you expect the work to start?
Late August.
Okay.
And where are you starting? Which end? You starting at the bottom end?
Start at the lower end and work your way up. That way, if somebody stops you, you've done some good.
I think a few years
We
ago
learned
they
that
started on the
late.
upper end and worked south.
Comments I heard, that's where it should start. Down the lower end and come this way. Is that right, Mayor?
I don't remember, Mr. Macy, you may remember. When did they start? They started cleaning out the upper end, went so far, then they had a lawsuit and stopped it. And they,
I think it was 1982 to 1984.
okay.
And
What year did you go to World Day?
I started the basin in 2011,
Yeah, you were born in what, 80?
Okay, then
81.
Me too.
his predecessor was an 82.
Yeah. You've had a David running it since 1996, so.
Somebody before Salyers, or was he?
He's first.
Is
David.
anybody?
Do you have a business card or can you get some?
I can definitely
I'd
get.
like to be able to let these farmers have one.
Yeah,
If you have opportunity.
I'll share my information.
I'd like to say one thing about the West Tennessee River Basin Authority and commend them with when the tornado came through here a few years ago. They had their equipment up here, the water track hose, the floating track hose, and they did all the clearance over there and just amazing work is what they did. And they were here the whole time. And I was up here several times and watched what they were doing, and it's just amazing work. So, and they do just the same thing all over Western Tennessee with all the tributaries and rivers that we have here. We have a lot more. We don't have the rock and everything that they have in Middle and East Tennessee. We have sand and we have a lot of dirt, and it washes in the roads, and it stuff falls in the way. They take care of all that. It's amazing work what they do.
For instance, that going out originally there south of 78, 79, that part of Jackie Flower Zone, that has always been subject to flooding and stuff. But this time, it's been underwater probably 7 out of the last 10. It's been bad. That's a good illustration, a good example. Typically, it would flood and get wet, rainwater and stuff, but it would get out of there, shortly after all the other major Oline rivers, Mississippi River, everything gets down, it would go ahead and get out. But now, it just seems like when it floods, it's there. You don't take a siphon over down and pump it over the limit. It's going to be there. Just nature drives it up. The farmers are battling water drainage. I'm sure that they'll appreciate it.
There's a lot of other ditches and sloughs running crisscross in here. Is that all in Lake County now? Is that the county's issue, or is that the state come in and do that work too?
If it's a right-of-way ditch along the right-of-way, then typically that's a county roads
What about
issue.
these ones that come down through the field and cross?
It depends on if there's a blockage in it that needs taken out. Yeah, we can come work on those things. If it's like a field ditch that is maintained by the farmer
They got
usually.
water in them, they're wet all the time. Mostly running from up towards the lake or up towards the old spillway. It's one of the ones I'm talking about.
Like below 21 and all that.
Well, right over here, right behind the Magnolia Road. So that's know where that's at. But that area back there always lay full of water. My
Yeah, and-
sister-in-law lived there.
and anything-
Back up all the way to the back of her house.
I'll share my info. Anything anybody has a concern about, we provide technical assistance to everybody. So we'll come look at it and tell you whether or not it's ours or whose it is or what we can do. We do that for everybody.
Would that Robinson file be considered under what he's talking about?
You deal with the channelized.
Yeah, channelized.
Well, he'll give you all his information. I know there may be other people here that have questions they want to ask, and he can answer any of those. But if it's okay with y'all, we'll start talking about the legislative stuff. You want to go first, Senator Jackson?
That's
fine.
Fine with me. That's fine with me. I'm really glad to be here. Of course, Lake County has been a special place to be. I've come up here, and everybody up here, has been so good to me. And I got elected in 2014, and I guess my term started in 2015. In the Senate, we run every 4 years, and in the House, it's every 2 years. Bless their heart. I'm sorry for that, but anyway, I'm fortunate to have been elected since 2014 and to represent Lake County. I have 7 counties in my district, as you were talking about. I start here in Lake County. I go to Dyer County, into Crockett County, and I live in Madison County. I'm from Jackson. My wife is from Milan, Tennessee. Her dad and mom were farmers there in Gibson County, and we've been married 53 years in August. We have 3 children and 4 grandchildren, and most of them live in West Tennessee. Others live in Middle Tennessee. And then I go from Madison County over to Henderson County, Lexington area, and then to Decatur County, and then I'll go across the Tennessee River to Perry County. So I have a long district and have a lot of travel. So sometimes you see Rusty a lot more than you do me, because I've got such a big area to cover. But I love it. This is my only job that I do. I do this full time, and this is the best job I've ever had. I retired from the company I was with for about 53 years, and I'm sorry, 38 years, and then was elected asked to run for this position, and I was very happy to be able to do it. So that's a little bit about me and my family, but I am been in the legislature, I said, for 11 years. Just in my 12th year now, and it's been on several committees. You mentioned the committees that I'm on the health committee. I'm on state and local government. I'm on government operations, which I'll explain a little bit about what government operations is, and I've been chairman of corrections for the last about 10 years, and then I'm on the Post Commission, which is the Police Officer Standards and Training. We're the ones that the Post Commission, we're people who are in law enforcement, I'm the Senate member. We have 2 House members on the Post Commission. We make all the rules and regulations and oversight for law enforcement across the state, all the sheriffs, all the police chiefs and the police departments, and anybody who's post certified. You have to be certified to carry a firearm, have arresting authority, that type of thing. So I've been on that for 5 years, and it's been a rewarding job. But law enforcement is near and dear to me, and I really support law enforcement. But I like to talk about the budget. I think Rusty's got some budget things to talk about, a couple of things. Tennessee ranks top in the nation in fiscal management, so we're very fiscally responsible with how we manage our taxpayer dollars. I know Trey Cleek, is Trey still here? Yeah, there he is. They help us oversee that. They make sure that we are managing our money the way we should and spending it wisely. In the state of Tennessee, so we're one of the top, if not the top, fiscally managed state in the country. We have a $59.8 billion budget this year, and a lot of things go into that. We're still one of a handful of states that have a AAA bond rating with all 3 bond agencies. So that means that when we do need to borrow money, and the state of Tennessee does borrow money sometimes, usually bonded, we get the best rates of anybody else because we're rated top in all three bonding agencies. We're number 5 state in fiscal stability, lowest state debt per person. Each one of us pay less in taxes than any other citizens in any other state. So I'm gonna leave it there. Rusty will probably cover some other things too. But anyway,
You talk about anything you want to.
Okay.
I said over every pretty.
Let's see, I am, well, Rusty was gonna talk a little bit about the highway funding, so I know he's gonna do that. Port of Cates Landing, I know that's something that we've been working on ever since I've been in legislature, is the port. And finally, we got rail coming in there. And eventually, this port it's one of two deep water ports in the state of Tennessee. The other one is in Memphis, and it's full. Then we need another deep water port. All the other ports that are along the Mississippi River are pretty much what we call swift water ports, where they don't have inlets. They don't have an actual port where you can come in and dock inside of water outside of the Mississippi River. So that's really important. And up here in northwest Tennessee, the most extreme northwestern part of our state, that's huge because we can get load barges. We can in and out. We have a free waterway that we can run up and down the Mississippi River for transportation, for agricultural products or manufactured products or whatever that we do here. So we really need to get that port going and operating in full speed. Let's see, I told you I'd talk a little bit about the Governor Operations Committee. I was just named chairman of that first this year. The Lieutenant Governor appointed me chairman of Government Operations. I've been on it 11 years. But what Government Operations does, we oversee all the departments, the commissions, and the boards of state government. And we make sure they're running smoothly and financially sound and spend their money, and they have a full board member and they're active. And so we're the oversight. If say Department of Health has issues or Department of Corrections has issues and they have had findings, the comptroller has had findings where they've had some issues and it's a tough department, then they come before us and we say, okay, here are the findings. These are the things that the comptroller of the state of Tennessee found that are happening here. What are we going to do to correct it? And we make sure that they're corrected and it runs smoothly. And if they're overspending or whatever, then that's so we do that. And that's a pretty important committee where we just make sure that our government is running as smooth as it should, and that's one reason why we're ranked as high as we are in fiscal responsibility. There's let's see, there's juvenile crime has gotten to be rampant, especially in Shelby County. You've been hearing a lot about that, but it's in other counties too. And when a juvenile, somebody 17 and under, commits a violent crime, where do they go? They can't go to a regular jail. They can't put them in a regular jail. They can't be anywhere where they're adult criminals or people in jails. And you can't mix men and women either together. They have to be in separate places. So where do you put them? Well, actually, right now, there are only two places in West Tennessee outside of Shelby County where a juvenile can be detained pre-adjudicated. They haven't gone before a judge yet, but they've committed a crime. Before they go to the judge, they have to be housed somewhere in a detention center. So there are juvenile detention centers in Middle and East Tennessee. There are 8 beds in Jackson in West Tennessee, and then there are 2 beds in Dyer County. Other than that, there are no other places. So if a juvenile commits a crime here in Lake County, then where do you house them? Well, they have to either be asked to go to Jackson if there's a bed space available, or to Dyersburg, or to Rutherford County over in Murfreesboro is another place, a possibility, but there's just no place. So what we're working on in Madison County and working with all the other counties, rural counties in West Tennessee, is to have a detention center, about 45 beds in Jackson, which is centrally located. Jackson is the most central point in West Tennessee, where if something happens here in Lake County, Henry County, or over in Fayette County or wherever, they can be detained. The juvenile could be detained legally in that detention center. So we're working on that, trying to get funding from the state. Madison County is going to put a lot of funding in, but we're asking some other counties if you want to we would like for you to help participate in that, and you would have a place for your juveniles to go if they need to be housed. And so
McDowell Center is the place that you say.
I'm sorry.
McDowell Center.
In Dyersburg.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's only 2.
That's what I understand. That's what I've been told. Only 2 pre-adjudicated juvenile.
That means before they've been sentenced.
Now, they're, well, there are, but they have probably have been, maybe not a crime where they, it may be something that's in a school or whatever, but not something that they would have to go to court for, a violent crime of some type is what we're talking about. You can house juveniles in detention centers that are, that they don't have to be detained like that. But anyway, that's what we're working on to do that. So that's, I just want to say too, I'm glad we're here in the American Legion building. I'm a member of the American Legion. I was in the Tennessee National Guard for 7 years, and in the U.S. Army, and the United States Army is having their 250th anniversary is Saturday. And so we're celebrating that. And I think we were just talking about that a little while ago. And also, I think it's Donald Trump's birthday too. I was just informed of that. I'd forgotten that. So Donald Trump's birthday is also Saturday. And then Saturday is Flag Day, and I think it's your birthday too, isn't it? All right, happy birthday to you. So
I'm a year older than Trump.
are you? Well, you don't look.
He got more money than me.
Yeah. There's I'm going to this be my last thing. Community corrections, and there's community corrections, which is the instead of a person who commits a crime, they go before a judge, and the judge says we're going to and hear a jury and all that. And then they sentence them. Well, they sentence them to, or they serve here in Lake County at the facility here or wherever in the state. But there's some that are not violent offenders, and maybe they don't need to go to prison. Maybe there's another avenue, another route for them to go. So, they have what's called the community corrections. There's a community corrections over in Obion County, and they serve Lake County, Dyer County, and Obion County. There's one in Madison County, and they serve Henderson County and Chester County. And so it's another avenue, another route for somebody who's an offender to go. So we're working on some issues with that. There's some funding issues to keep community corrections. We don't need it to go away. They have what's called a day reporting center that they oversee. The day reporting center, the person who maybe committed a crime, they don't go to prison. You can still keep your job. You can still stay at home with your family, but you're going to report to us daily and make sure you're doing what you're supposed to do. If you don't, then you're going to go to the big house. And so that's what we're trying to do. But the state has cut some funding for community corrections, and myself and several other legislators were saying we can't cut that because we need that. Everybody doesn't need to go to prison. There's some people that just need a little more of a hand spank, I guess, to become better citizens. So anyway, that's something that we're working on that we're hopefully we'll get the governor to there's some money in the budget, not in the budget, but there's some money set aside that would work for that. And we're trying to get him to fund that. So, Rusty, I'm going to pass it on to you, and I'll be glad to answer any questions you might have. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Could you back up? Port's been there a long time. Could you tell us what the vision for the port? I don't know, gone. But all these young folks, are we going to have jobs here, or are we going to pump more money into that up there, and it's just going to sit there and not do anything? I know that's a hard deal, but not much happening up there for all the money that's spent.
Yeah, well, of course, we got the rail finally, and there's more to it than the rail. There is to be infrastructure inside the port. We got some buildings there, but if you're going to ship things in and out by rail, all of that needs to be infrastructure. Rail infrastructure needs to be put in between the I guess the warehouses that you have over there now, and so those are some things that we're trying to get funding for. It's going to be worthwhile. It's a free trade zone, which is really unusual to have free trade zone, which means that you're not charged taxes on the products that ship out of here. So there's a lot of positive things, and it's a deep water port. There's not another one in West Tennessee on the Mississippi River outside of Shelby County, as I said. So it's something that it really needs to happen. It's just that we just got to get it done.
Okay, all right.
And it's I-69 is another thing we got to do more with as well.
I'm gonna just stand up because I can't sit still much longer. I'm gonna address this right here, Mr. Don's question, because I think it's very important. I'm gonna use a sports analogy. When you have the best team as far as talent, but the team's not winning, you've got to deal with a manager. Guys, we've had people running the port that are worried more about control than they are progress. Amen. And it's unfortunate that we've got people that are worried about making sure that their finger is on the pulse rather than accomplishing something. And I'm going to say that's a nice way of me saying it. But and I know that's real popular, probably stupid politically, but it's right. And anyhow, I'll just leave it at that. And talk.
I agree with you.
So I'm going to just run through some stuff that I did personally this year, and Senator Jackson and we work together as good as any Senate House membership up there. I mean, we get along good. We eat supper together. We have a really good relationship. And that's not the way it is all across the state. I mean, there's people across in East Tennessee that just seem not to help the guy at all. Even if he's on the side of the road changing a tire, they don't help him. It's just that bad. But we don't have that relationship, thankfully. I want to first he brought up the port. I want you to think about this. What do y'all want? I mean, this is where the port is. What do y'all want up here? And just ask that. I'll ask that question. Y'all can think about it. Maybe give me an answer in a minute. And also, I want to brag on. I know Miss Connie, what she does over at the Ridgely Senior Center. She does a whole lot with a little, and there's a lot of people that don't appreciate that in there. So, as a community, it would be very important to let the people that are making decisions as the budgetary year goes through that they step up and say, you know, what she does is important. Miss Judy, I know she means the world to you and what you do. There's other people that I've talked to on a regular basis that, like, if it wasn't for her, they'd been dead years before they died. So that's important. So make sure that the people that make a decision understand how important it is. And I know Shane and Cliff. I know Shane. There's a new board in Ridgely. Everything I've heard is I haven't had the call saying the police are watching. So kudos to you. And as far as I know, things are going in a good direction. Is that fair? Okay. No news is good news. Cliff, I would say, would you agree?
I agree. I just wanted to say our police department in Ridgely is about the best set it's been in the 5 years I've been here.
That's a good turnaround. And Cliff, I know you work your rear end off to make sure things are going. I mean Cliff's gone in D.C. more than Kustoff is. He spent some time up there. I know he had to testify in Congress one day, but he did a really good job, is my understanding. I think you were a little bit nervous. But yeah. But anyhow, Cliff works hard as a mayor there in Tiptonville, and it shows. He's taking possession, I believe, next door. And y'all are going to transform that into something. Along those same lines, there are grants that we passed a bill this year that takes grants for distressed counties. And instead of those, now we're there 50-50 match, where it used to be you didn't get near that kind of support. So those CGB grants, I think is it 50-50? I believe that's what it is. But anyhow, we had some stuff last year. We were trying to get it passed, and we wanted that 90-10. But we got that done this year to help distressed counties. With what the president is going through at the national level, we had a huge issue with illegal immigration. And I don't know if y'all saw what happened in Nashville about 2 or 3 weeks ago. ICE comes in, they take the rapists off, they take the drug dealers off, and then the Freddie O'Connell in Nashville comes out and starts trying to raise money to get the illegals back here for whatever reason. It's a crazy. But when the THP released their press release about it, they talked about a bill that gave them the authority to do that. And that was so gratifying to me when I found out about that, because a buddy of mine called said, your bill got mentioned today, and because of your bill, THP and the ICE was able to go grab those guys. So I'm grateful to be able to be involved in something that had that kind of impact on the state. So maybe I'm bragging, but I'm very proud. That happened last year. So we've seen a lot of stuff going on in the anti-Semitic realm. The Islamists, the extremists, they're coming over here and they want to exterminate Jerusalem or Jews. Well, we have a group of people on the other side that cater to every group except the Jews. And the left hates the Jewish people. And this year, I carried a bill that what we did is went through created an investigatory process inside of every college in Tennessee. And if some student feels like they've been discriminated against with anti-Semitism, they go make a claim. That person, they investigate it, then they take the report, give it to the Attorney General. In K-12, they have to have somebody in the Department of Education, where if somebody says we've been discriminated against, they've got to go investigate it. So we can stop that stuff. And what's going on in Harvard and Berkeley and all these other left coast places, we've got a place, and then when the Attorney General gets involved, I can promise you, Jonathan Scarametti is like Antonin Scalia in my book. He is hardcore. He's a Christian. And I said he's Christian. I didn't say he's a Catholic. I said he's a Christian. He used to be a Catholic. Now he's a Christian. And I'll let him discuss that with you. But this guy is a conservative guy that appreciates the founding of this country and not trying to redo it. So whenever he has that information given to him, he will actually do something with it. We have several state-run liberal bastions of liberal think tanks that the state was funding. We've taken those over now, taken those from their independent standing and now giving them to him. And I'm trying to remember the acronym by which they operate. But the Health Commission, I can't remember. But anyhow, the left has gone crazy because he is so conservative in the way he's going to manage it. It's a good thing, in my opinion, because I don't know that there's any virtue in the left now. And the way they're seeing America, that America's founding is wrong, that America's standing is wrong, that America's position is wrong, and we help every country that's hurting. We help every man or woman that's hurting. We help if you need help, America's the place everybody wants to go to, and then the left continues to trash as if we're wrong. There is a fundamental disagreement about the way the world view in my head and their head. We just do not see it the same. And that's just because they just look at the world as different than I do. I had a bill this year that dealt with lab-grown proteins. Ms. Judy looked at me. Do y'all know what that is? Lab-grown proteins, there are people that want to do away with agriculture as we know it. What they want us to do is live out of a laboratory where they take a cell out of a cow, put it in a petri dish, feed it whatever the compound is, and they take that cell and grow a hamburger out of it. Or they take that cell and grow a chicken leg out of it. Or chicken breast out of it, or chicken tender out of it. These are not just crazy concepts. These are things that they're actually doing. Rodney, I'm not telling you. These are some things. So what we've done in Tennessee, I'm a capitalist, so I don't want to do away with something that somebody can create. But we got to have a regulatory process to make sure that people are buying something from the store and they think it's a hamburger, where they ought to be getting a hamburger from a cow, not a protein from a petri dish. And there is a difference. So what we've done is I created a process by which the Department of Agriculture says you have to have this permit in order to sell it, and you cannot label it as meat. So when you go to the grocery store, if somebody were to start selling it, you don't have to. You can look on the box; they can't say meat. So we're trying to put some parameters around it. That's a little bit scary, but what they want to do is they want to do away with the cows. They want to do away with what we do for a living, the cotton farmers, the bean farmers, the corn farmers. They want to do away with that, so we're dependent upon somebody who creates something in a laboratory. And these are crazy concepts. These are crazy, but are they? Because a few years ago, I was sitting in committee, and someone come up and said, I got a bill here that wants to do away with vaccine cabbage. I talked to Farm Bureau, and they said, Russ, you're crazy. That's the craziest thing I've ever heard. Well, Stephen Moppin was working there then, and about 2 or 3 weeks later, he said, dude, I'm sorry. You ain't crazy. I just hadn't heard of it yet. What they were doing is they were taking cabbage and growing cabbage and injecting a vaccine in it so they could throw it out of airplanes in maybe Africa. And if there's an Ebola outbreak, they could go in and people could eat it and they would be vaccinated from Ebola. These are cool concepts, but that's we're talking about a food supply and a pharmaceutical. And when you start mixing those, you got to be very careful. So we worked on that a couple of years ago to ban it. My point being is there's a lot of technology out there that we ought not be fearful of, but we ought to know what we're getting into. Duck blinds. I know that's been always a hot issue, Reelfoot Lake. Senator Stevens and I worked together, and we created a system. We told TWRA with this law that you have to take those duck blinds so that people have now, and then when they die, they revert back to the state, and the state puts them into the draw pot. Now they're going to be able to take those blinds when someone passes away and create a commercial blind system with it. So now that person can have in perpetuity, so they can go back, get drawn, or however the system is set up for those blinds, and they'll have a 3-5 year contract with the state so they can continue to guide out of them as a commercial duck hunter. Will they be able to own the blinds like they did previously? No. But it will not be to the fact that the state is letting these people hunt 3 days a weekend. And that's what they've done now, and it's not worked out well. You talk to any resort owners, they have not fared well with that. There was another bill that I had with the emergency powers. And the emergency powers in Title 58 is the Emergency Powers Act. In 2002, right after 9/11, the General Assembly gave, Governor Bredesen at that time, the ability to circumvent any laws. And then they come back and say, well, you can't mess with the Second Amendment. And then I went back in 2021 and said you can't shut down churches. And with this year, I went back and said you can't restrict or circumvent any right that's guaranteed by the Constitution. The governor's office, it has nothing to do with Governor Lee, it has to do with the governor's office. Any liberty that's guaranteed by the Constitution should be granted or guaranteed in a good sunny day and a gloomy day. That's what the Constitution was for. It was not for days when they weren't threatened. It was for days when it was threatened. So we went back. The governor's office did not like it. I was in his office one day, and it was unique. He did not sign the bill. He has to sign the bill in order for it to become law, or leave it on his desk and it becomes law in 14 days without his signature. He wouldn't sign it, but that's okay, because it was the right thing to do, because your liberties, my liberties, and every person who lives in Tennessee, they assume that those liberties are protected, and this right here are protecting them at another level. I brought up immigration a while ago. There is a group of people in this world that are willing to take illegal immigrants and bring them across the border. And then when they get here, they're willing to sign a lease for them. And then when they sign that lease for them, to give them long-term housing outside of the confines of the law. And if you're going to help someone come to this country and you're going to help them circumvent the law, because if you're not legal in the country, you can't go up and sign a contract, because who's going to sign a contract if you're legal, or if you're illegal? So what they do is they help them circumvent the law. Well, we passed a bill this year that says if you do that, and Doug Robertson gets harmed by someone that you've helped circumvent the law, he now can sue you. So if you want to help them break the law, you ought to be responsible for them. That made sense to me, but there's a lot of people on that side that didn't love it. So we passed it, and it was a glorious day. The tension was in the room, I can promise you. One or two more things. We passed one of the more controversial things we passed was we dealt with a resolution, and a resolution is nothing more than saying this is where Tennessee stands. And we dealt with a resolution saying that we recognize the nuclear family to be one of the most important things that we have. A good mom, a good dad, good children produce good citizens. And how important it is for the nuclear family to be reinforced, to be supported. And when you want to do away with education problems, you have a strong mom and dad. You want to do away with drug problems, you have a strong mother and father. You want to do with systemic poverty, you have a strong mother and father. Those things help. That's not the cure-all, fix-all, but it's definitely, statistically speaking, you want to make sure that you're successful in life, you wait till you graduate high school before you have children. Those things like that, they matter. Those are just numbers. They're facts. They're not up for debate. They're just facts. Those are some of the things that we supported this year, and That's where Tennessee, and I think that's the reason Tennessee's been so successful. We've moved $80 million to the highway fund. Gas miles per gallon has gone up. Transportation fund is strictly funded out of tax dollars from the fuel tax. This year we put $1 billion more in it of the general fund, but we put another revenue stream inside the transportation fund. So we're going to take the taxes off of tires from here on out and move the sales taxes from tires from the general fund. Now it's going to go to the transportation fund, so we'll have a little more of a source of revenue to the tune of $80 million. It's not a lot, but it's enough to get several hundred miles of paving done. I do know that there's always paving that needs to be done. Real quick, David brought up about West Tennessee River Basin Authority. There was $1.2 million that we put in there for emergency after the storm came through to help him in, I guess, O'Brien and Dyer counties along that O'Brien River where it blew out and caused so much damage. There was that money there, and I know that we have the new park ranger here at Reelfoot Lake now. Doug's son is now the park ranger, so that's exciting. I hope that there's optimism there that we can look forward to going forward. And if not, it's his fault. Anyhow, we could talk about. I know there was several $1 million that was spent over here at the park, like $3 million on soil stabilization, and like a little over $7 million on the campground, and like $6 million for tornado repair. Those are some serious dollars that have been spent. But anyhow, Cliff, Shane, y'all have anything that y'all would like to say about Tiptonville or Ridgely? Y'all just want more grants?
Yeah, give us more money.
Property tax.
Yeah. We had three constitutional amendments that we passed this year that will be on the ballot next year. One of them has to do with violent criminals. I think there's 8 offenses that a judge, well, if this amendment passes, the judge will be able to hold you without bail. These are violent offenses. The judge will have the discretion to hold you without bail. Then there's another one that is going to be on the ballot to ban a state property tax. You'll have the opportunity to vote on that, and then.
If you want to go to Nashville and work on that, I will take you on a bus.
All right.
I'm going to go up there and support him and Senator on that for free, and I'll even buy you probably a better lunch than
Well, it's going to be on the ballot. It's already passed.
It's already passed, Trey. It's already passed.
It's going to be on the ballot.
It's got to be on the ballot next year.
It's got to also, y'all still have to do some.
But it's going to be on the ballot now next year after it gets. I mean, this thing's the cake is in the oven and it's almost baked. Marcy's law it's a victim's rights that says that if you have had a crime committed against you, that person before they can be released from jail they have to notify you.
That's right.
What happened was there's a young lady had something traumatic happen to her. She was in the grocery store, and in 2 days after this event took place, she walks upon a perpetrator, had no idea that he'd been released. So that's what Marcy's law is, and that's going to be on the ballot next year. And I know I don't want to talk about everything. Yeah, I'm going to stop there. Thanks. This road right out here. 20. Is it 22? I think they're supposed to do it from Tiptonville to the spillway this year, is my understanding.
Nothing on Great River Road.
The Great River Road is. I know they're working on the 3 miles or 2.5 miles that's left. I do know that. So we passed the budget, the governor's budget, and then there was another $1 billion that was put in it after that. So then there was there were new jobs that were brought to the forefront with that, but they did not have those ready to go. So they'll be on this next. They'll be let sometime this year, is my understanding.
How about 78 from time for
They're supposed to start that. They started on it Friday, getting all the working out of that. On Friday, I talked to Matt Ketchum, the engineer, Friday, and they were working on that Friday morning with Ford because they're fixing to start just any time.
I know this is an ongoing one, but on 78, that sinkhole right on this side of running by you, sooner or later, somebody's gonna hit that, blow a tire, and go across the center. That is bad. That needs dug out, filled.
I understand.
You just pour
There's another one right up here.
Yeah. Just pour blacktop in, that ain't helping. It just looks sharp.
I understand, yeah. You probably avoided it. He goes so fast, he drew right over top of me. I floated over. Yes, and T-Dot knows it. T-Dot knows it.
It's gonna have to be dug out and filled with something.
It needs like a pillar drove down in it.
Yeah, pilings or something. Has to be in there.
Patch over about 2 or 3 months ago.
It don't need a patch, it needs digging out.
You know the people from Lake County, if you're behind them, because they move way before they get to it.
But I understand, they understand that, they know that there's a problem. Anything else?
Question for you.
Sure.
Not someone in anybody, so, all right, for the next regard armory, I mean, this thing was fully equipped, like the kitchen with all the great stuff, stainless steel freezers, the gas stove, because I cooked that thing when our family fed the National Guard and the sister company about, what, 8 years ago. Hey, that thing was a kick butt. What about, okay, I know, I myself, like say, if they want us, why don't they look at this point from a homeless veterans point of view? Why not use that as for a home for homeless veterans?
It's Tiptonville has control of it now, it's my understanding.
So that'd be a perfect thing for the state to have done.
Yeah.
I mean, because like I said, it's got.
I understand your
point. Everything, I mean, perfect. And
What?
now it's gonna go to recreational center, whatever.
I understand it.
Yeah, that's right.
I had veterans that didn't, sorry, but that's my feeling about that.
Presley, you were talking about the nucleus of the family.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay? Number one, I think we need to start with some of the parents before the kids. You know?
Sure.
Really. And the court, what we're gonna do, we're gonna find it hard to place people in that employment. I mean, I try to find somebody to help me work in the yard, and you can't do it. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's right.
We want to re-government that form.
And another thing too is, on people that get assistance from our country, are there any rules or regulations that they can be drug tested, and if they are positive, that, because I don't want to support their habits. I don't.
So let me tell you, it's one bill that we worked on this year, and we had a bill, and I hope there are people that don't like it, but I personally, I'm a supporter of it, advocated for it. Is that if you have SNAP benefits, that you can't buy soft drinks or candy. I think it's a step in the right direction. We actually, Stephen Vaden, y'all know Stephen Vaden? He's the Deputy Secretary of Agriculture. They voted on him tomorrow. He has a position, and talking to him, he's like, Brooke Rollins, she's the commissioner, or the secretary. If y'all would give us a letter from the governor saying that y'all would like to see an opt-out, so y'all can do what y'all want in Tennessee, get the governor to do it. Me and a friend of mine, Jason Zachary, went to the governor's office, spent 45 minutes in there talking to him about it. We had it set up, just waiting on him to write the letter, make the call. We haven't got there yet. I say that to say this: there's an appetite within the General Assembly, at least in the House. I don't know what the Senate looks like, but to make some reforms like that. There's also during the budget hearings this past year, I asked the question about: do y'all have any data points that show how many these kids that you're giving these dollars to? What's the home life like? Single parents still together. I asked the question. I'm on insurance as well. I asked the question: if people are going to the emergency room, is there a way that we can create a minimal co-payment So if you go to the emergency room, you have to make a co-payment. And the point being is government assistance gets abused. And people are using, okay, my brother, for instance, my wife, my mom and dad here, by the way, my mom and dad, that's my wife. My brother takes x-rays for a living for a long time, and he worked at Dyersburg. We went to church with this girl. She was a little bit touched. She'd come in on Sunday, and she would say, I saw your brother this weekend. He couldn't say anything much. What for? She said, well, I think I broke my back. The next Sunday, she come back in. She said, I saw your brother again this week. What for? I thought I broke my arm. This went on for 4 or 5 Sundays. And the problem is people don't appreciate what they don't pay for.
Oh, no.
And my point is, and there are a few of us that are trying to figure out creative ways to start making some reforms. $5, $2. It's amazing how much, just a little bit of reforms could change a lot. Not to mention, if we did away with the sugary drinks and the candy, how much would that save us on the health side in 50 years?
So you used to that wasn't done with anyway. I mean, then you do. You couldn't buy your food, sorry. Like, eat delis now and going to all apart. You got pizza, but none of that was allowed. I mean, stuff that you actually had to cook yourself. And that's when, since we got away from that, and of course, everybody, the biscuits, get stuff, they take from us, they take from the land. You have to, if you try to take something away from us, no, you can't do that, that's our money, that's my money. So I said, are you working? No, and it's not your money.
West Tennessee, have any other comments?
I just want to say to Mr. Chairman and Rusty too, how much we do appreciate them. And I think they had a very productive, I told you, I got the mail out today, and it looked like they had a real productive session this year. Really did. So thank you both.
Yeah, I'd like to ask any of the growers, because a lot of this meeting was called because Tony, I talked to Tony, I talked to Randy, I talked to Rod, on down the list, and every one of them have legitimate complaints and stuff. So please, if you have anything with the West Tennessee Basin, let's put this guy to work over here, see if we can finally get something done on that. And make sure that our 2 mayors, our county mayor, didn't get to make it. But do y'all have any other comments that you'd like to make, Cliff? Where's my other Mary? Shane, what about you? Y'all okay? All right, before we all leave, you got another comment? Go ahead. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
My name is Jody Baker, and we live here in Rich Lake. My husband and I are members at the Rich Lake Senior Center, and
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. And we really enjoy it. We have things to do. We're involved in the community. Connie does a great job. She keeps us all busy and keeps us young. Yeah, even though sometimes you don't want to be young. But she knows how to get us to work together.
Yeah.
All right, we were getting meals through the week, okay? And it was like our hot lunch. The end of the week, we would get something for like Friday, and then Thursday's meal and a Friday meal that we could take home. We enjoyed that because frankly, sometimes it gets difficult when you're on Social Security to get a hot lunch. I used to work with people that they have anything to eat at lunchtime. From a church that we belonged to, just different people in our community that we knew. So we go there and we have our little lunch, we have a good time, we clean up after ourselves. Now we found out there's no money to feed us. The seniors centers are not getting any more food. We got our last food last week.
Is that, Ms. Connie, is that a grant or is that a county?
So it's actually federal and state, and it's coming out of the Martin office, and there's not enough funding for the fiscal year. So we lost the entire month of June. We lost our congregate meals.
Through the Department of Human Services over in Martin,
Well, Northwest.
Northwest Human Services, yeah. Tennessee.
How much is that?
The dollar amount, well, we were getting 30 a day, and they're valued at $8 a piece per day.
Russ, don't say something just on her point. Right. The seniors here, like she said, is pretty doggone sad when they get cut out their meals, but yet you got these able-bodied teenagers that wants to lay their freaking backs, and yet they get free food stamp, welfare, whatever, free healthcare for the little kids. That's bullcrap. I mean, should be.
I agree.
They should be getting the benefit, not these able-bodied, birth control, other baby factories.
Okay, my reason right now, why
Okay?
There's a new program now that came out called Trudy's Kids. Feeding all the kids in the neighborhood, all over. They get free meals. I know of some of them. I know one or two of the kids, just from my grandkids and that. Some of their parents work, most of them jump. They're living in housing over here. Nobody wants to work. We're gonna feed those kids. Us seniors, we paid taxes all our life, we paid into Social Security. You can't work. I worked up until I moved here. I'm 86 years old, and I have to work before I moved here just to help supplement our income. And all these people, kids now, they're all going for free food. The list is like this long, isn't it?
It's about 12 spots in Ridgely.
Yes,
They'll even go to someone's house
yes.
from like 1 to 1:15. You don't have to show no proof of no income. Just show up if you've got kids under 18. You get breakfast and lunch. So if one kid goes, they're going home with 7 breakfast and 7 lunch.
Exactly. And 3 seniors, 0.
This is not right.
But mind you, they're not gonna go hungry because we are old school.
Yes.
And we just happen to have 4 freezers packed with food. So we're not gonna go hungry. But it's the principle of the truth is why they are upset. And I truly understand it. But they know how to survive. We've been eating beans and cornbread and fried potatoes and cabbage, and they love it.
That's
But
correct.
the truth is, they're just mad, and I agree.
Did y'all have opportunity to talk to Ronnie about this building?
Yes.
So y'all have already
Okay,
discussed
right now. Okay.
The child labor law.
Yeah.
Put them back to working at 13 years old.
I've looked at that. But it's a federal law because I have several friends that like run Sonic, for instance, run Chick-fil-A, and if like a 14-year-old has to, they work a minute past 7 o'clock, they're in trouble. And it's a federal issue. I wish so bad the federal government would fix that. But the state, there's nothing we can do on that. It's strictly a federal issue.
You can't even hire a kid 13 years old to mow grass no more. 13 years old, they'll be out there rolling, making money.
They push them lawnmower.
Okay, Mr. Bill, you got another comment?
Yeah, I just want to say, I wanted to, before we forgot, I wanted to thank Ronnie,
Yep.
the girls that worked the door. Everybody come in and decorated and set this up, on behalf of Doug and I. Doug didn't say anything, I wasn't gonna let him get back. And I need to apologize to everybody because I was saying the prayer and all of a sudden she started acting up and I had a brain fart. And I forgot to bless the food. I know I was supposed to say something, but I couldn't remember what it was. And I'm not quite as old as Judy, but I'm getting there. And, you know, you hit 70, you start forgetting stuff.
Okay, Y'all have any further comments?
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Before everybody leaves, I'd like, if it's no problem, both of the mayors and the county, both of these two, and the people that helped us do this, I can't thank them enough. What he just said is exactly how I felt, but I'd like to get a picture thing here. I'm so proud of these guys, and the new man we got jumping on board right here. If the county, the city mayor would come up, and the people involved in this, Don, Ms. Donna, Bill, and Linda, I'd like, including you, if you're gonna put this in the banner, and I want your name to it.
He's great.
See, we're gonna do bona fides, I told him my granddad's toes here in Tiptonville. Hey, he was cremated and donated his body to science. His picture's hanging in the.
Really?
Yeah, see that.
I'm talking about super good. Wow. Wait just a minute, let's get Ronnie Hayes out here. Ronnie Hayes.
That's your drink?
Good.
I've heard a bunch of names are in there, and I didn't know this.